OpenAI launched ChatGPT Agent mode on Thursday. Since then, all I've heard is that it's decent at simple tasks. But I suspected it could do way more, so I decided to experiment and see how far I could push it. On Wednesday, I shared a framework I use to vibe code a production-ready full-stack app called turtleedit.com. Last night, a wild thought hit me. Could I outsource my entire vibe coding workflow to ChatGPT Agent using my framework? So I tested it with two vibe coding projects. First, I wanted to see if it could build me a personal website from scratch following this vibe coding framework. So I crafted up a prompt and pasted in the vibe coding framework that I shared on LinkedIn and asked it to kick this off. It responded back with an overview and a project plan to see if this is what I wanted to do. And I went ahead and said, great, please proceed. I'm just going to highlight a couple of the really interesting things here where I saw for the first time how ChatGPT Agent could use other agents to vibe code on my behalf. So you'll see here that ChatGPT Agent has copied my prompt into V0, and now V0 is off developing the front-end framework for my new personal website. I'm going to skip through because it does take V0 a few minutes to generate that site, but you'll see that at the end, we now have the code for the front end, and ChatGPT Agent is ready to connect this to GitHub. It did take it a second, and it wasn't able to find the small GitHub icon, so I had to take over and do that for it. But once we got it connected to GitHub, you can see that it was able to create a repository for my new personal site. I'll jump to the next interesting piece, which was that it was able to follow the next step in my framework and go and ask Codex to analyze the front-end code from the new repo that it's created to figure out a plan for adding the backend functionality to create a full-featured blog where I can log in as an admin and upload blog posts and then have those displayed on the site. So you'll see here that it was able to navigate the Codex app, and now it's going to go ahead and create a PR from the code that was created. And this is where it got really interesting. The ChatGPT agent was actually able to review all the code that was output by Codex and did a proper code review, which is something that I'm never going to do with the Codex generated code. This is when I realized that ChatGPT agent is also a better vibe coder than I am because it actually reviewed these PRs. I had to take over and do a little bit of work to get the configurations right to get the site deployed on Vercel, but now you can see that the site was deployed on Vercel, but it actually just has a lot of placeholder content, so this isn't actually my real work experience, so that'll lead us to the next project. But the crazy thing here was that I didn't even have to pull the code from GitHub or update any of the code in the background, and it was able to successfully navigate the web browser and get me like 95% of the way there, and I just stepped in for the final bit to get it deployed. For the next experiment, I wanted to ask it to actually update my personal website using my real information and use Codex to do that. So I figured it was actually better if it just logged into ChatGPT and used O3 to research me and create a detailed overview of my profile, my personal details, my career history, and my education. So this is the second major mind-blowing moment that I had, was when I realized that ChatGPT Agent could actually also use ChatGPT. So I had to do just that. You can see here that it logs into ChatGPT, it's in my profile, and it creates the prompt and asks it to generate the details from my career history. And then it's going to copy the results from that search over to Codex and ask it to update the website. So you'll see here that it checks in with me before it presses code, and then it goes off and generates this. And you can see that the ticket being created by Codex is an update to my personal website content. This actually was fully successful on its own. I didn't have to do any intervention here other than checking a Cloudflare box to get it logged in to ChatGPT, and it was able to merge and deploy successfully, and we can see the results of that here. So now I have my new website. It has correct information about me. It has some kind of narrative, some of the featured writing and different things that I've done with links to those things. And we have the work experience is correct. It shows that I'm at OpenAI, I was at Stripe previously, and some of the things that I did before that. And then it started drafting a portfolio, which shows an app that I've built before. Now, this is where it gets truly wild. I had a thought yesterday, could I actually abstract myself another level away and ask ChatGPT Agent to be the product manager that makes the roadmap and spins up multiple agents to do the work? For this, I'm going to have ChatGPT Agent be the product manager for my Turtle app that I referenced earlier. So I created a prompt and I told it that its job is now to be an innovative and expert product manager, and it's going to extend the Turtle web app. And I'm not going to give it specific instructions. I just asked it to create a plan for 10 features that it could add to Turtle. And these could be front end features or UI enhancements, tools, backend. I don't care. I'm now a second line manager. ChatGPT Agent is my frontline manager, and it's going to go off and manage my workforce of agents to create these tasks. So I remind it that it has access to GitHub, which it can be connected to through ChatGPT. So it has access to the code base. Then ask it to research and come up with 10 features. And if it needs to, it can use ChatGPT or use its own knowledge to figure out what it should build. And then I ask it to go to Codex and make sure it finds the Turtle environment to start adding these features. And I tell it that it can run multiple tasks at the same time, so we can actually have all 10 tasks running in parallel. So to start, it goes off and it creates that roadmap for me. It does stop and checks in with me to see if this is the roadmap that I want. So you'll see here that it added some things like Turtle Remix, which is something I tease on my website that I'm still working on. We also have data dusk or sky replacement mode, which is a popular thing for real estate photography that's actually really expensive to get a photo editor to do for you. And then it added a few things that bulk editing and preset management, and bulk editing is definitely something that I want to add to the app. So that's really exciting that it came up with that, and we'll see if it can do that successfully. And then I skipped over a couple, but it had some good ideas like adding AI generated captions and listing descriptions, as well as offering a subscription option in addition to the credit packages that I have today. In summary, I thought that most of these were pretty good, and so I selected 7 of the options and asked it to go off and do that. But now you can see here that it will very quickly draft and copy over and execute each of these tasks. And if you look closely, this isn't the same text that it showed me above in the roadmap. It's actually built these out into feature specs that have front end and back end instructions for what exactly it wants it to do. So once it clicks code this first time, it's now going to copy the next one over, and this is the data dusk and sky replacement mode feature, and it's going to code that. And then the next one, and I'm not speeding this up. This is how quickly it did it on the actual UI. It's going to click the code for the next ticket, and it goes through all 7 of these tickets. So I then had it review each of the PRs, and you can see here, I'm just going to jump here, that you can see that I was able to run all 7 of these tasks, and it started to merge them. I truly feel like my mind has been blown and that I discovered 3 incredible things that ChatGPT Agent can do. First, it rebuilt a production-ready full-stack app. Second, it researched all my personal information, wrote the content, and updated the website itself. And third, it created and shipped a multi-feature roadmap for Turtle using live GitHub repo access, Codex, and ChatGPT. All I did was guide it a little and configure a few bits that it couldn't access directly. That's it for now. Let me know if you want a part 2 with a more detailed walkthrough of how ChatGPT Agent tackled each of these projects.